Hi, it's Nicola and I've got my party gear with me today. We're talking book launches. We're making a toast to 8 book party tips for you to try. Today's show is sponsored by the Your Family Stories system, which is everything you need to know to help a loved one write their life story for family and friends. And I'll have some free sections for that coming up. Forever Young Autobiographies is the place to learn how to write life stories for family and friends so that unique memories live on. And I'd be grateful if you could follow, subscribe and like the show. When you've finished your book, there really is no better feeling. And the next best thing you can do is to plan a book party. How exciting! Whether you've finished an autobiography, a memoir, a biography or another life story project. This is a momentous occasion. You really need to celebrate and share all the hard work that you've done. Now, granted, coronavirus has put a dampener on things at the moment, but holding a book launch party is still possible if we're following sort of your local area's health guidelines. Now, I found this out when I finished my grandmother's autobiography with her. We launched it for her 100th birthday, and this was deep in the coronavirus quarantine lockdown zone, but it was still possible. So I'm going to share 8 tips with you today to have a fantastic book launch. So let's get to it. The first one is deciding who are you going to invite. Is this going to be for family and friends, or are you going to invite a wider audience? Maybe someone notable from your community, or someone who can be an MC for the event. The important thing is that you surround yourself with people who have been supportive of you through this whole book journey and are supportive for the finished product. That's number one. Who are you going to invite? A second thing is what type of party? There's lots of different ones for us to choose from. We could do something really intimate and simple, like a morning tea and afternoon tea, maybe a little cocktail party, or we could do a dinner, something else, something creative. Of course, the time of year is going to dictate this. You're not going to have a beach party if it's the middle of winter, and your budget may play a part, and of course, what venues may be available. So keep that in mind. Right, moving on. Step number 3, we want to know, when are we going to hold this book party? Okay, you might want to wrap this into a special occasion. Could be an anniversary, a birthday, you're retiring, maybe there's a family reunion. How cool would that be to have your book launch at something like that? So put your thinking cap on. When is a good date? And while we're talking about when, we need to think about the time that you're going to hold this. This will be dictated by what type of party it is, obviously. But think about, is it going to go well with my guests? For example, if you've got a lot of senior or elderly guests, something during the day is going to suit them a lot better. They're not going to have to stay overnight or travel at night. Make sure you set your date and your time. Moving on to point 4, and that is picking a venue. Again, this is going to be a little bit dictated by how many people you plan to invite, but there's lots of options. You could have it at your house, at a friend or a family member's house. You could take it outside. You could do it in a park or some other natural setting. Hire a community hall or a function centre. There's lots of possibilities. And you could even tie this in with something to do with your book. Say there's a setting or a town or a place in your book that's really prominent. You could hold it there. And also keep in mind your guests here too, because it might make sense to have a sort of a halfway place. If people are coming from everywhere, have a venue that's central. Right, we're halfway through, up to number 5. And this is where it gets exciting. We're going to do the invitations. Now, of course, if you've got a very small book launch gathering group, you can give people a call, talk to them, email them about all the details. But I highly recommend that you send out an invitation. You can get pre-printed ones and you just fill in your specifics, or you can do something online with tools like Canva. I've mentioned Canva before. It's a really great tool. They have lots of free templates, including invites, or there's some there with just a few dollars to buy a specific design. But I've used these quite a lot to make invitations, mostly pretty much always use the free version. And Canva can print them for you, or you can download the digital file and then email and text it to your guests. That's what I've done in the past. And the great thing about making a personalised invitation is that you can add elements of your book into the design. Say you can take parts of your cover and weave it into the invite, and it's really going to set the tone and feel for your book launch. It's going to make people excited. So then we're going to carry that idea of theme from the invite across to our party. We're going to pick a party theme. So this doesn't have to be scary. You don't need to go overboard with this. It might just simply be picking a colour scheme. Maybe your book's got a lot of yellow or blue or pink. You're going to reflect that in, say, balloons, napkins, other decorations, perhaps flowers, that kind of thing. Just doesn't need to be too hard. Just have that set in your mind when you're doing the planning. Alternatively, if your book is, say, a memoir, it might be set in a specific time period. That can make a really great party theme. Maybe it's the swinging 60s, or it's a rock and roll style memoir. You can incorporate elements of that into your party theme. Maybe it's set in a specific country and there's a culture attached to that. You can theme your party that way. You really need to have a little bit of fun with it. Anything can pop into mind, even if it's sort of a career or a dominant hobby of your life. Just get excited and really make people keen to come to the party and have a bit of fun. Now we're moving on to our jewel of the party, which is your book. You need to make sure you've got your book there. You want to have enough copies for your guests and to put on display. Think about too whether you're going to pre-sign some books, which is a good idea, or you're going to have maybe a little space or a little table set up where you can do your personalised signings. It'd be a good idea to get a friend or a relative to help you here, because they can help you keep track of books, any money you might take for the books, maybe it's just a donation or to cover print costs. And of course, they are going to give you a little bit of a break to then go off and enjoy your party. Now, finally, we're moving on to a little bit of magic for our book launch. We want our book launch party to be a little bit of magic. So I'm suggesting you get a loved one or your MC or someone notable to give a short speech about you finishing your book. I think that's going to be really memorable for your guests. And then you can follow that up with a short reading from your book if you'd like, and then a short speech or toast too. And I think it's finishing a book. People say they're going to finish a book, they write a book, but not everybody does. Very few actually do. So I think you really need to take this opportunity. Come on, be a little bit brave, take that opportunity, do a little speech, make a little bit of a big deal, because it's a very momentous occasion and this is your time to shine. So there you have it, everyone. There's some super book launch ideas and book party suggestions. To recap, we talked about who you are going to invite, what type of party it is, when are you going to hold it, the date and the time, and of course venues. We talked venues, we talked invitations, we've talked themes. Then there's the star of the show. We need to organise our book and those little magical moments that are going to leave a big impression in your guest's mind. So make sure you have all of those covered, because my hope is that when you've finished your book, you want to be so excited to plan a party for your families and friends. You really do need to, just take a minute to sit back and go, yep, this is a success. I've done this. Good job. If you'd like to know more, head over to my website. I've got a whole lot more information about book launches, plus links to Canva and other resources. So you can get that at foreveryoungautobiographies.com/book launch. So please head over there. Also, leave me a comment. Are you planning a book launch? Have you got any other tips for us? Please share them here or at foreveryoungautobiographies.com/contact. I'd love to hear about it. Okay, we talked about the Your Family Stories system, which is sponsoring the show today, and this is the exact system I used when I helped my grandmother, who was 100, write her autobiography. And I really break it down for you so you can do it with your loved one or with your kids, and you can help them with a loved one. So you're planning to do the interviews, you're holding the interviews, then you're compiling all the information, and then finally you're publishing it there's lots of formats, but you're publishing it in one of those formats, sharing it with others so that those memories really live on. So I highly recommend this system, but you can check out the first few sections for free. I'm giving that away for you. It's my little gift. All you need to do is put in your email and go to foreveryoungautobiographies.com/free. Please check it out, because I'd love that you would create and share more stories about your loved ones. If you haven't found me on Facebook, please go over to Facebook and search Forever Young Autobiographies. I'm on there. I'm usually posting a few times a week, so I'd love to have you as a follower. And also, it'd be great if you could follow, subscribe and like this show. So I'll be back again really soon with another topic. And until then, happy writing.